What's up, Pitt fans? Noah Hiles, Abby Schnable here on the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. Pitt wins big Saturday night in Boston, 90-65 your final. The Panthers, they led for all but what? I believe 12 seconds this evening. A lot to get into. Before we do, we need to talk about our show's presenting sponsor, which is Mike's Beer Bar down on the North Shore. If you're in town for a Steelers game, Pirates game, Penguins game, Riverhounds, college football, college basketball, whatever brings you into town, you got to stop over at Mike's. 500 different beers, 80 different local craft beers available on tap. You can check out their Steak on the Stone as well. You can get a flight. There's endless things to do there. I'm always there. Abby's made some appearances from time to time. Carter, I think, lives there. I think he's just paying. I think these ad reads just pay for Carter's rent at Mike's Beer Bar. But no, in all seriousness, great spot, and we're thankful to have them as a show sponsor. On the note of good things, Abby, Pitt with a big win, 25-point win. What is your good in the victory?
My good is Jaylen Lowe's playmaking. I mean, Bub had some great moments too. He's the obvious standout, but there were some things that Jaylen Lowe just did so well against Boston College that I really appreciated. 9 assists, that's a career high for him. The biggest one for me was, though, he had a hand in 8 of the 16 made threes for Pitt, 50%, which is just insane. I mean, 6 assists. Those were to Bub Carrington twice, Zach Austin twice, Henson and Guillermo Diaz-Graham. And then he was 2 for 4 on his own. Like, he's making moves down there. He's not making too many mistakes. He made 2 turnovers. I just think it's so impressive to watch him be so good at feeding out the ball, but also scoring. And he's still so young. Like, that's what keeps getting me. What about you, Noah?
I'm just going to say the margin of victory. I mean, at this point in the season, Pitt not only needs to win, but it needs to win big. It needs to increase its KenPom, its net ranking. And now we're in March, and Pitt's a top 50 team in both of those metrics, which is huge. I don't think Pitt was that high in either of these last year at this time. And Pitt at this time last year was a win away from an ACC title. It already had 14 conference wins to its credit, I believe 14. So, right now with the win, Pitt moves up to 45 in KenPom. That's, I believe, a 7-spot jump from where it started at the beginning of the day. And it remained at 49 in the net. I think there's still a couple of games going on as we're recording, so that could change by the end or by tomorrow morning. But right now, heading into the final week of the regular season, when you're on the bubble and you have some nice road wins like Pitt does, and you have a favorable spot in your conference tournament, and you have a top 50 spot in both net and KenPom, these are big things. And while you can't control who you're going to play for the remainder of the regular season, or even really who you'll see in the ACC tournament to a certain extent, you just got to play who lines up in front of you. You can't control, in a way, your analytics, your metrics, whatever you want to deem them, by winning big. And when you play teams like Boston College, who, are struggling a little bit, you got to blow them out, get ahead early, and just dominate. And that's exactly what Pitt did today. And more wins like this might get Pitt closer to the right side of the bubble. Abby, we'll go over now to the bad. I'll let you start us off. What was your bad from today?
My bad was Quinton Post had little trouble scoring against Pitt's front court. I think when we saw Fede Federico and Guillermo Diaz-Graham on the court together, they did a really good job against him. In the 7-minute stretch that they were on the floor together, Post only scored 4 points, which, to shut him down when in a 7-minute stretch to 4 points when he finished with 30, that's pretty impressive. But he really didn't have any issue when he was going one-on-one against them. Like, and it wasn't even just down low. He was making 3-pointers. He was making mid-range things or mid-range jumpers. Like, he just didn't have a difficult time. And that makes me worried for Pitt, maybe in the postseason, maybe next year, because I feel like it's a trend that we've seen a little bit this season, that the front court has a little bit of an issue guarding guys down low that are good. And like you said, Boston College isn't that great of a team, so you can take your lumps against Quinton Post, but that's not going to work against other big teams. Like, I mean, they lost to Duke, but they also beat Duke. So we've seen things happen against a solid big man. But like, if this team wants to make some sort of postseason run, whether that's NCAA or NIT, that's a glaring hole that I think teams could take advantage of.
I'll say, I think they have answers. It just comes with caveats, right? Like, I think when they play a big, if they run into Miami again, they have to play North Shadowmere. I think the answer there is probably someone like a Will Jeffress, who is Ormere is like what, 6'9", 6'8". So when you play a big like that, who doesn't necessarily have height but has like strength, I think Jeffress is your move there, and you can just go straight up. You trade defense for offense, and you rely on your outside shooting to get the job done. But in a case like this, where you're playing a guy like Post or a Filipowski or even a Baycott, this works if Guillermo's hitting his shots.
Yeah.
Because you're not trading 2 for 1 here. You have Federico who can, do what he does when he's on the floor. And then if you add that extra length and height and backside protection, and you combine that with a couple of threes, then that's a good trade-off. So I think that's encouraging. Just wanted to add that to your point, because I'm not going to sit here and say like, okay, well, they found out the answer because they limited Quinton Post in Boston College, because like you said, Abby, I mean, there's not a lot around Post right now, unfortunately, for Boston College. So, I have a feeling, if they try this against Filipowski and Duke has a healthy backcourt, which it didn't in that win Pitt had on January 20th, I don't know if it's going to work as well, but the offense that Guillermo provides might be a little bit of something. My bad was the immediate response to Hinson, which you are, I don't know if your story's filed or published or not, but yes, yet. But you did write about, by the time people are watching this, Abby will have, written about, and you can read that at post-gazette.com. But I mean, like as soon as he goes out of the game, Boston College goes on a 12-2 run. The second chances were there. The points in the paint were there. And that's not what you want to see. Now, granted, like you said, Abby, I mean, the game really did change when they went to that 2-forward lineup. And not only did that limit Boston College offensively, but I mean, Pitt's a team that in the last 2 years has been at its best offensively when it's getting stops, when it's forcing misses on the defensive end. I want to confirm this because I thought I saw it. Where is the transition points? I hate looking for stuff in the middle of a recording. I believe they outscored them. Fast break points, 14-0 today. I mean, that comes from misses. And so, that defensive adjustment made Pitt a better offensive team, despite not having its best offensive player. It allows for a lot of separation. It allows for better ball movement. It allows for them to play fast. And when you have those 3 guards out there with 2 bigs that are 7 feet, but, one of them is an outside presence, both of them can run the floor, that's an alternative look that we really haven't seen. And, other opponents are going to have to adjust for that as, we head to the ACC tournament in a couple of weeks. So we'll get to the ugly now. Abby, I mean, there wasn't a lot of ugly to talk about for Pitt's sake. So I'll start it off, and then I'll let you finish because you have the better of the two here. My ugly is Boston College's perimeter defense. Pitt shot a season high 53% from 3 today, and a couple of those misses at the end came kind of in garbage time. 16 3-pointers is a tied for season best. They also had 16 triples on December 6th against West Virginia. Bub Carrington, a career best, 7 triples for him. And, something that I also think will get overlooked here because it happened so early. I mean, their first 5 field goals today were all 3-pointers. Their first 4 3-pointers of the day came from 4 different players. Mm-hmm. So this is a team, and I understand that that's kind of where basketball is going, right? Like everyone should be able to have some sort of an outside game in today's world of college basketball. But, for this level, I will say it is unique where Pitt does have a lineup where that can happen routinely, and I don't know how many teams in the ACC where you can say that, where you have 4 guys who can all start off hitting their first 3 in the game in the first 5 minutes. It's definitely not as rare as it would have been 20 years ago, but I still think to have that consistency from the outside from 4 if not more, because you got to figure Leggett and Diaz-Graham can shoot the ball effectively off the bench as well. That's a weapon. So that would be my ugly, was Boston College's perimeter defense. Abby, your ugly is...
Man, Boston College got yammed on.
Yes, they sure did. Yes, they sure did.
I mean, just the amount of ugly yams. I mean, Zach Austin's like reverse kind of backwards dunk. Blake Hinson's dunk. Carrington to Hinson for the alley-oop finish. Like, oh, they were just so many, like you said, ugly like moments, which are also ones that bring smiles to our faces, because it's like, man, that's brutal, but it's also so fun to watch. So, Pitt had a good time today. You could tell that they were enjoying it. And 25-point win, gotta enjoy that.
Gotta enjoy it. So we head into the final week of the regular season. Pitt still very much on the bubble. I expect them to be one of those first 8 teams out, maybe first 6 teams out, somewhere in that spot. And 2 quad 3 games remain, and then a trip to DC. Abby, any final thoughts as we wrap this one up?
We're close. We are close. 1 week or 2 weeks until Selection Sunday.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, she's Abby Schnable. I'm Noah Hiles. Thank you for tuning in, as always, to our post-game show here on the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. You can read both of our work at post-gazette.com. Panthers win 90-65. We will see you again on Tuesday night as Pitt will be taking on Florida State. See you then.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.